This is a Headgum podcast.
You have a chair. Ooh. That chair seems moved over a bit. Am I right?
We are experimenting with some studio changes and
right.
resetting
chair
everything.
Or couch?
Slightly.
I'll go with the chair.
We're very
chair?
observant.
Okay. Yeah. And would you like something to drink?
I'm okay with the water, thank you.
Can I get yeah, ice water?
Yeah, definitely. I will set the cameras and then I'll go grab that.
All right. Take this stuff.
I have the book.
Do you?
I sure do.
This is your Bible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
That's a while ago, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Back when I wasn't a very good writer. But
you had volume at least.
Yes. I had enough volume to get paid. It was not easy. I have you written a book?
No.
It was one of those things that you don't need the headphones if you don't want them. Okay. That was so. I was so naive about. I just thought I'm a writer. I write stuff. I write all the time.
Yeah,
it'll be. Relatively easy. And I was also in the middle of, when I said I'd do it, shooting this movie that was like 4 months long.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't going to be on set every day. I was like, I'll do it when I'm in the trailer. I'll do it on my days off. And not a fucking word. It was just garbage. I probably wrote a cumulative 7 pages it was all shit and I had to get rid of it. And slowly but surely, the deadline started approaching. I'm like, it was not nearly as, it was just really stupid, naive. Just, I'm a writer, all right.
So what did you do then to get it done?
I just stopped doing other projects and finished it up. And I don't know if I got an extension. I might have gotten an extension because that shit's so arbitrary anyway.
How long did it take you to do it?
I think the actual writing was probably a year, but the time I was given was probably a little longer because I think I asked for an extension. But until the very end, I didn't really sit down and say, this is my work. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to get up in the morning, have some coffee, jerk off, walk the dog, then start writing on the book. Jerk off again, watch my soaps, and jerk off again, have another coffee, write some more, walk the dog, get a chopped salad.
You're very strict on structure.
This was all very loose. I should say not in that order. But I think, take my medicines. Do my charity work,
pray.
I pray during all of those activities. No, praying is happening internally
all the time
while I'm jerking off. Mostly, that's when I pray. I find it to be the most effective, and at
least it has a definitive result that you can point to say, well, that's real,
and I'm done. How about that? It's a finite process.
I'm done praying.
Well, that's prayer for today, God. I hope you liked it. So I'm here with Tommy Tiernan, and I was wondering when I was on the subway coming over here, I was wondering if, because your name is so lyrically alliterative, if when you were younger or even currently, if people called you Tiny Tommy Tiernan or there goes titular Tommy Tiernan.
Tiny Tears was my nickname in primary school. Because there was a doll called Tiny Tears. Yeah. They made this thing for kids that wept.
I think I remember that vaguely.
I don't know how you made the doll weep.
You slapped it.
Really?
Yeah, I think
Do
you just
reckon?
slapped the shit out of it.
Shouted at it.
Yeah, you tell it it's worthless. It's
Yeah.
not. You've got no soul.
And I started to cry.
You are. I wish you were never born. You were a mistake.
Yeah. And mom and dad going, where does he pick up this stuff?
Yeah. So
the
Tiny
only-
Tears.
Just in terms of names, though, if I was starting stand up again, I would definitely use a pseudonym.
Why?
Because I think that it's such a character that we play. I know it's, in a sense, it's us when we're on stage. But there is a sense of playing a role of the kind of, you're not antisocial, but you're kind of, and you're not unpleasant, but you're kind of prickly and you're a little bit, you're a provoker.
Right.
And I think that I don't like when the results of the provocation follow you home.
So how would having
And a mask, I forgot to say, and a mask as well.
But everybody would know it's you with a fake name.
No, say if I was starting again, I'd call myself.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you were implying you've taken a break from stand up.
I'm going to go back with another name.
If you went back, it would be with another name.
Yeah.
Though that's kind of a cool thing to do, and everybody's like, "Why did you do that? We know it's you."
No, starting off again, I definitely do a fake name. I think that difference between I have this notion that stand-ups live, in a sense, on the edge of the village, almost in the jungle, on the edge of the village, and
this village is in a kind of tropical area, very loamy, lush. Lot of
specifics will not help us here.
Really, it helps me with my mind's eye.
Your mind's
I'm
eye.
picturing it.
Do you have ADD or anything like that, or any of those things? No conditions.
I have anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
But it's manageable.
Okay.
And it used to not be, but now I've gotten better at it. But I don't have I don't have to knock 3 times if I say the word knock. I don't have to do that.
Thank God. That would be awkward.
And I don't have to do that because I said it once and then I have to say it again. No, don't. I have to double it, Tommy. You don't understand. I'm not happy with it.
Yeah.
Don't make fun.
Don't make fun of the numbers.
It's specifically don't make fun of the numbers. All right. So then the question on everyone's lips is, what would your pseudonym be?
Oh, it would be something like the bomber.
The bomber?
I don't know.
That's not for an Irish comic. Yeah. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Well,
the bomber. That's probably not.
Is he the actor or is it a warning?
Stay away from that
or
imagery.
Something. Yeah, because I think that the function, the role we serve is it's not domestic. It's not when you're on stage. You're not a domesticated being. Freedom for the comic is being able to mock anything. And
are you implying that there's subject matter and a way to approach that subject matter that you wouldn't be comfortable with as Tommy Tiernan, but the bomber would be?
Bomber, it would be totally. That's where the bomber lives.
Also, the
bomber lives in that.
Bomber is one of the few universally understood terms, even outside of the English language, of a guy failing at or a person failing at their craft.
Oh no, it's not. That's a specifically American term or phrase. The bomb.
Really?
To bomb at something. Totally.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, I think.
But meaning you know what it means. You know the reference.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. Like fail again, fail better. Like a Beckett clown or something. That would be my general sense of it. Is that we've ended up in a situation now where the entertainers also live in the village that years ago they just passed through. Does that make sense?
Interesting.
So you do a gig and then you live in the same place, And so people, hey, and people see you at the school the following day, and people know who your children are, and it's just.
I was going to say it'd be because if you didn't have children, that would be weird.
Well,
if they saw you at the school the next day,
well,
after your show where you were being provocative, and then you're at
what the fuck is the bomber doing here?
the elementary school. Yeah,
storytelling with kids and stuff. So that's my sense of it, is that in terms of names, starting over again, I'd use a pseudonym.
And so if the implication is that it would free you up to do certain things, what have you either done that you've regretted because it went home with you, or that you haven't done? Really? Like what?
Oh, I don't want to summon up those bastard ghosts again.
I'm really curious in a way that you felt, because of what reason?
Well, I'll tell you a few things. I think part of it is to do with alcohol. And I think that part of it is there's a kind of a flush of good feeling when you're drinking. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know about drinking to excess or anything. I just think the general kind of mood of alcohol most time is one of kind of pleasure. And then it kind of frays your nerves a little bit the following day. I'm talking about huge hangovers now, but just kind of, you're not as confident in your thinking as you would like to be. And I think there's a direct connection between that and alcohol. And for me anyway. And so for me, it would be stuff like saying something really funny on stage that's kind of, it's earthquakey in the sense that you're not saying something that's forbidden, but you're in territory because the ideas just come to you. You're not entirely sure where you are in the moral world. You know you're off kilter. You know you're saying stuff that's a little bit crazy, but it's so crazy it gets a laugh.
See, that's interesting because what you're describing to me is a positive. I want, and if that's part of what alcohol, a big part of what alcohol does is it, if you're not going to excess and going to blackout drunk, you are participating in physically and mentally, verbally, things that you might censor yourself, edit yourself if you were straight sober.
Yeah, but I'm not. I don't mean that I'm drinking. I would never take a drink before I go on stage. I'm talking about that you do this on stage, and then the habit of having a drink or two every night after the show. What it started to do for me was the following day, I'd start go, oh, I can't believe I said that. Oh, bad boy.
But what was bad about the hypothetical thing you said?
Because I guess because you were laughing at something that involves somebody's suffering.
Oh, okay, sure. And I mean, that's just a good rule to have.
Not in a specific way. You're pointing at somebody going, imagine being that poor fucker, or that. What you're doing is my sense of it is that it is all coming from a good place. That it really is. It's all coming from a great heart. Not mine specifically, but the arena. It's all good. But once you start shaking and being full of doubt, then there's just too much anxiety involved in that for it to be sustainable. So something has to stop. So I remember it happened to me recently. So I'm on stage and I'm talking about anxiety in teenagers. Now it's going to sound weird when I say it here.
Yeah, of course. Bits sound weird when you.
So it's a bit about anxiety in kids, and the usual bounce from it was, some of you may have children who suffer from anxiety. They'll be fine when they reach their 20s. Maybe the suffering that they had in their teenage years will make them stronger as young adults. It was a bit. The whole bit is about drugs and how every generation takes drugs, and sometimes it can actually make you slightly more robust when you get older. Maybe so. This one particular night, I'm on stage and I go, anxiety, and they'll be fine when they get to their mid-20s if they live that long, was the line that came into my head. Right?
That's a good line.
And people laughed. Okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So I do the show in two halves.
Mm-hmm.
It happens just before the interval. And I'm backstage with my head in my hands going, the fuck would say something like that?
It's a joke, and it's a good joke.
I hear that now, and I know that in the moment, that's where it was coming from. But I'm talking about that thing of that, where is that voice coming from that is saying you're an awful person? And then catastrophizing and kind of going,
you're not saying they're an awful person.
No, I'm saying I'm an awful person for saying it.
And you see that internal voice as ridiculous or
no, impossible. It's horrible. So for 4 days, I'm catastrophizing, going, oh, somebody was recording the show. It's going to be in the papers.
Jesus.
They're going to phone up people now whose kids have committed suicide, and they're saying he's laughing at
Tipsy Tommy Tiernan. Now listen to me.
So hang on. So
okay.
I said, and that's happened to me a lot. So I've said, okay, how do I stop this? So I decided the following night.
And just to be clear, the this that you want to stop is the going to the bad place in your head.
Is the anxiety afterwards.
Exactly. I got it. Okay.
So the following night, I'm going, okay, now it's going to be about control. There are no more lines to be improvised on stage. It's all going to be about control, comic performance, pauses, shapes, timing. We got this nailed. You're an actor playing the part of a stand-up comedian. Do it. And it wasn't possible for me to do that on stage because whatever energies are set loose were bigger than my ambition to control them. So I started thinking, how am I going to stop this? Because for 4 days, my stomach was on, like my diaphragm was on a frying pan. It was horrible. Couldn't sleep, couldn't eat.
Did you talk to anybody about it?
No, because I didn't. No, you're the first.
Jesus. Well, I wish you had called me sooner. I didn't. I think it's a...
Can you help?
Yeah, I am telling you it's a severe overreaction to it.
Due to?
I don't know. That you're going to have to maybe talk to a therapist, maybe get some...
No. So anyway, I decided I'd stop drinking.
Right. Drinking is not the...
Cause.
No, it's not. This goes deeper. I mean, it's anxiety. It is part of anxiety, and the part that I would recommend you work on is to do the work where it doesn't spiral, and it's life-saving. If you know what's coming, if you know where you end up going, and you can figure out the ways to, as that plane is nosediving, to pull up and kind of reset. That is the absolute most important.
That's too vague.
It's a skill. No, it's vague because you don't know what the how to do it yet. But if you can discover the things that you need to do to get yourself out of that before you get deeper and deeper and deeper, that is the best gift you'll ever give yourself.
Do people talk about recurring dreams? My one is of surviving plane crashes. I had one this morning where I was on an airplane.
Can you tell me what the make and model was? Because I fly a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was...
Don't tell me Boeing. Don't tell me Boeing.
It was a small plane. I can't remember who made it. But I do remember, my dream is always, I'm in a big plane crash and I survive. And
so you go through the plane crash in your dream. Oh, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really...
The stomach dropping, everything, the plunge towards the earth. But 10 minutes later, I'm always in another airport looking for another plane.
That's the life that you just summed up stand-up comedy.
Isn't it? And the one I had this morning was...
oh, boy.
I'm sitting beside this woman on a plane, and next thing, the whole side of the plane flies off. Jeez. And we start lurching down towards the ground. And the last line I hear before I wake up is, "We're going to lose some lives here." and then I woke up. That's my recurring thing.
Oh, that's terrible.
So I actually think that the problem the reason for the anxiety and all that is, I think it's my domestic. It's the fact that the comic is now domesticated, and I think it's an outlaw profession. And I don't want to make it sound grandiose, or I mean, you're not part of the herd. You're trying to stand outside the herd. And
so when you say domesticated, do you mean like tamed and neutered in a way? What do you mean by domesticated?
No, I think
we're pets.
In an ideal, imaginative situation, comics should always be together, always going on raids into the town, but that they should protect each other psychically. So I said that joke to you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying, Tommy, come on, relax.
I think most people would say that.
Really?
Yes, I do. I do think that. I think that most people would say that. I think, I honestly was thinking, was expecting something more punching down, harsh, graphic than that.
I think it is important to punch down as well as up and sideways.
I don't like punching down. I think
it's important.
Why?
Because I think that to attack the weak is essential. I also believe in attacking the powerful. And
now you're losing me on attacking the weak. What about the? I don't mind. I wouldn't say attack, but
sure.
I wouldn't mind making people uncomfortable or getting a laugh at them for like ignorant people. Maybe that's punching down. Like
I think what I'm talking about is being amoral.
Okay,
amoral, so that you're kind of you don't take morality seriously. I think that's one of the great strengths of stand-up, that it can be that. So yeah, that would be my.
Okay, let me ask you this:
it's impossible to live with, but that would be in an ideal situation. That's what a stand-up is to me.
It seems contradictory. Your anxiety at saying some things, totally. And then. So you're acknowledging it's contradictory.
Absolutely.
Okay. But
there's no, I don't, very last thing I would want to present as is consistent.
Okay. So where do you draw the line at punching down then?
I would draw, I really do have a strong sense of everything coming from a good place. I guess people can sense meanness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think everybody withdraws from that. Everybody. So as long as it's not mean.
That's interesting. I know I had a friend who was very dark, very funny, very acerbic. And then he lurched way to the right. And before, as that was happening, but in hindsight, I could put everything together. The beginning of this just change to something ugly started with. It's the first thing I noticed was all the jokes were not as funny, and they were really mean. And then it became just mean. It was just mean and hurtful and laughing at people, but without any kind of joy or funny. It was just the lack of, and it was a shitty thing to watch. And
did that person, like, because there is a place for anger in comedy, isn't there? There is a place for destruction.
He's not a comedian, this guy.
All right, okay,
he wasn't a comedian, but it was a friend, and just like, and you see it a lot in America on the right, the humor is meaner and crueler, and without it's just, I don't know. There's no.
Can you give me an example of a comic who might be like that without?
It's like when you see there's a show on Fox, and it's called and it's this. I think it's a very similar font to the Garfield movies, the cat, the animated, the CGI cat, but it's Gutfeld, and maybe that was intentional, that because it sort of sounds like Garfield, I guess. Anyway, it's like that with an exclamation mark, and it's anchored by this guy named Greg Gutfeld, and then he has kind of rotating folks on there, and he does a little monologue, and there's not much of an audience, but you can hear when they're laughing, so you know that they're there, and they certainly wouldn't mute their laughter, but the jokes are so obvious, unfunny, the same thing. You know exactly what it's going to be. Basically, 90% of the time, it's and there's like a meanness to it, like a kind of
gloating.
Gloating, and also kind of condescending.
Yeah, totally. I think I've seen it.
Yeah, but just devoid of like solid jokes,
or of joy, or of playfulness.
No, their whole thing is like winking and nudge, and smiling at the and just obvious lame schoolyard humor.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's an example of what I meant by there's just an undercurrent of cruelness, and there's kind of pompous as well.
Sure.
And
I would never want anybody walking out of a show feeling as if they'd been picked on, or that they had been singled out for anything. But I do believe in just following the instinct and the mouth.
Yeah,
when you're on stage,
for sure.
And
that's why I drink when I'm on stage. I do. Hey guys, so real quickly, we're conducting an audience survey at gum.fm/senses, and we want to hear from you, capitalized, so we can keep making content you love. Now, you know this, we know this, there are ads on our podcast. We want to improve that experience, but in order to do this, we need to know a little bit more about you, our audience. The survey is a quick, easy, and free way to support this podcast. It'll take you 2 minutes, and you'll be helping us out so much by doing it. Okay, go to gum.fm/senses to fill out our audience survey. That's gum.fm/senses.
What's your tipple? What do you drink?
What I've started, I've kind of been experimenting, and I found the best. I started roughly 40 years ago with an experiment where I drink a couple gallons of beer a night, every single night, and then I did a 10-day master cleanse back in 2000. I want to say 2 or 3. So that was a period where I didn't drink. And then I got COVID. And I couldn't drink even though I was like fine after 2 days, I couldn't drink for a while. Man, that was probably 6-7 days. And then, but outside of that, I've had a couple gallons of beer every night. And I'll know the results of the experiment right after I die. But
you've got this far.
I got this far. But in all seriousness, I used to drink a lot on stage. Then I decided to not drink to see what that was like. Then what I came up with is, what I came up with is to not drink day of the show, and then once the show is started, opening act is on, I will crack my first beer. I like to keep them low ABV, and it's in my rider, 4.5 or below. So I don't go, with these like hardcore
And what-
8.7.
And what does it do to you in terms of thinking and performing and finding words?
It makes
that level
me
of beer.
clever and funny, and people like me more. I'm attractive. Every time I drink, I'm more attractive, and people like me. It just going back to what you were saying
Yeah,
early on, it makes things a little looser.
lovely.
It's the same thing that drinking does outside of the stage. It's the same thing. I will maybe not think in such a linear way.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not talking about getting hammered. I'm talking about if I'm
A
doing
little juice.
yeah, like an hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
Although I got to stop doing that. I do way too much time on stage. I have to stop.
So have you tried other things? Like, have you tried, did you ever, say, smoke a joint before you went on stage, or do
When I was
a line of cocaine
yes,
before you went, or a Red Bull, or treble espresso, or a cup of tea? Like, what have you tried? All those things.
Coke would not be good unless I was drinking. I just know this from years and years, decades of doing all kinds of things, and I do not do well with weed. I get way too paranoid. I probably, I'm going to say 5, 6, 7 times when I was younger, I'd get high and go on stage, and then every single time, and I mean 100% of the time, at some point, I'm going to say 3 minutes in, go, anyway, I got really high, so I don't know. And people wouldn't know. They wouldn't know. And then I'd say it, and I'd just fuck everything up, and then it'd be in my own
David
head.
the Confessor.
Because I felt like, this isn't... I just had no real, realistic idea of what I was saying, or not what I was saying, but how it was coming off. And I just felt like everybody knows I'm high.
Let's just...
Seriously, every single time. And I did mushrooms once. That was... If it was in a different situation, if I was like on a different bill, it would have been a disaster. But because I was in San Francisco with a bunch of other comics and we'd all taken mushrooms, it sort of worked. And I was being really silly and it was fun. But I also know that that wouldn't work. Yeah. And I don't know that I've ever done a show on Coke but I would be, if I wasn't drinking, it would not work. I'd be too jacked up. And
oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But if I used to do Coke all the time, but not like big fat rails. I would just do bumps to keep drinking. Oh yeah, you know what I mean, and to stay sharper than I might if I was 9 beers deep.
I'm always trying to find the playful zone, and we're trying to find the part of me that's fluent and that can hop from idea to idea and is thinking clearly. And the first time I've tried all those things, it's always worked. Like the first time I had a few drinks, I've nailed it. I have this down. And then the second time, first time you go on stage with a bit of cocaine, and then no. So what's I used to do this on the for say the past 2 years. I've been doing this. It's called holotropic breathing or something, or it's kind of like hyperventilating, where you for 30 minutes.
Oh, that's hyper. That would make you hyperventilate.
Yeah,
sure.
And then 3 times during that, you hold your breath for as long as you can. So it's like 10 minutes hold, 10 minutes hold, 10 minutes hold, and I would feel the architecture in my brain change. It was like going into some sort of a trance, and I would have an idea or a persona or something that I could walk out on stage with, and it would work. And I did that for about 2 years, and then it stopped working.
Mm-hmm. How long did you do it? Just before
Just before. Yeah. So you're on in 3 minutes, but you're still.
Mm-hmm.
And it's especially the holding the breath thing. You hold your breath for a minute or 2 minutes or something. You get these strange visions in your head, and you get inhabited by these strange.
What are the visions?
The only one I can remember was there was one specifically where it was big in the news, that a girl had been murdered that day in the country, and it was
This is in Ireland.
In Ireland, yeah. And Ireland is small, so
Yeah.
it was big news, and there was no way of walking out on stage and not addressing it. But how do you start off? How do you start with that? So I was worried about that. So I did this thing.
We don't have to start with it. You could.
Well, I don't know. I just
get
felt
up
under
in
pressure
60 seconds or so. You can say hi.
Hello.
Thanks for coming.
And what happened during the thing was, I said, I found a way of not mentioning it. And this is going to sound weird as fuck now and slightly melodramatic and megalomaniac, but it is what happened. I had the sense of, okay, this is going to be a celebration of laughter to send her into the next life. And that's not rational or anything like that. But that's the kind of thing that was in my head. And I went out and I was able to do the show without mentioning anything about her at all. So that kind of playing around with those ghosts. And then that stopped working anyway after about 2 years. And what I do now is I meditate for half an hour right before I go on. And that's working at the moment. But it's all about, I think, I'm specifically talking about Bob Dylan now. I was thinking about him and I think genius needs something to play with. And I think that it helps performers to have something to play with. That you mightn't necessarily share with everybody else, but you've something going on between your ears that is not declared to the audience, but in some way works. I don't know if that makes sense or sounds a bit weird, but that would be my approach to it. And as well, I think the way that I'm
Man, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
hang in there. We're nearly at the end now.
What in the goddamn motherfucker comes on here going, hey, you gotta meditate, breathe, hold your breath, then do a crazy puppy on cocaine thing, and then
Helping dead people into heaven.
Yep. All right.
So I've lost my thread of thought now. It doesn't matter. But that's what. Oh yeah. Part of the way I work now is that I often don't go on stage with a plan. So I will go on stage and whatever story comes into my head.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that's fucking ballsy. So you don't have a set.
Now this isn't the way I work all the time, but it has been the way I've been working recently.
Okay.
And again, that's inspired by somebody. So I heard that that's what Billy Connolly does.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, well, I'll try that.
I have to say that there are so many comics that I've been influenced by and who I admire. And I admire them even more so after I try to do their thing. I'm like, that's them. That's like, I can't, like, I'd like to be like Daniel Kitson, but I don't have that kind of, I mean, the guy is naturally, not saying that he hasn't worked very hard or, there are certain people who have that skill. And as much as I admire it and go, I want to try that. It's just not what I'm good at, and some people can do that Billy Connolly kind of riffing.
And it's great. And it's...
Yeah, but I don't have his skill. He's also such an affable guy. I don't think I come across like that.
Well, you come across as fearless when you're doing stand-up. It's kind of like...
but that's not a thing where you sit with a big smile on your face. When you see Billy Connolly, you just... And he also has that great skill, and Louis C.K. has this too, of like, it can be an arena and there's 16,000 people and you can be way up in the bleachers and it feels like he's talking to you.
Yeah.
And I went and saw Louis in Madison Square Garden in the round, and I'm like, it's like he's talking to every single person is,
Yeah.
it's not a guy just throwing jokes at you,
Yeah.
you know, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But some of those guys, and Billy Connolly's one of them, you know, has this connection where you feel like you're just sitting at the pub with him.
Totally.
You know?
The gift of intimacy.
Yeah.
You
The
know?
gift of intimacy. That is going to be the name of my ribald romance series. The gift of intimacy.
So yeah, and
That does sound like one of those like bullshitty 80s kind of new agey.
I think I might have read it
sex
on.
things.
I think the hotel I'm staying has sex things for him and for her, and I think it said on her one, the gift of intimacy.
There you
I
go.
think that's where I got it from.
Yeah, it's really good.
So yeah, it's so when I'm going on like that, if I'm going on in that kind of mindset of whatever story comes to me at whatever time, that's what I'm going to do. Then,
But wait, Tommy, what else is in the intimacy packet at the hotel?
okay, there was a sewing kit.
Yeah, I don't think that's for. I mean, look, I don't want to kink shame whatever you're into, but probably that was probably separate than the
Really? There's no package?
intimacy.
It was a some sort of a lube.
I like how you pronounce it.
Some sort of a lube.
Yeah,
That's it. I didn't open them. I'm
but isn't it like the romance kit or something? And then you get like, of course, a sewing kit because that's nothing sexier than that. If you're into the trad wife thing, here you go, honey. you sew my socks, and I'll jerk off to it, and we're both gonna have a great time. I'm the husband. I'm dominant.
yeah. As long as I can see you from the bathroom. Yeah. Yeah. Lube. That's all. The lube. Viagra gives me headaches.
Oh yeah, I think that's part of the understood thing is that it's all the blood flow, right?
Yeah.
So the blood. I'm not exact. Emma, Google
Head rush.
head rush.
Viagra.
No, wait. Erection, Viagra headache? Question mark. Parentheses. 2 more questions marks. Close parentheses. Exclamation mark.
Yeah. So yeah. So
She'll get back to us with the
Okay.
information.
there's something dripping on me. Is it the aircon? Oh yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
So anyway, that's
Great job rearranging the furniture. We're underneath the dripping air conditioner.
But yeah, ghosts. To go on stage with ghosts, important for me. Yeah, that's part of my. That's part of the. You're the same as me in that we've been doing this a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're almost doing it to the point where the career thing kind of comes and goes in a sense or something. It becomes a matter of finding the petrol to keep going.
Yeah.
The outside world and their reaction, great, this show is good, that show, whatever. And X, Y, and Z. But it's the thing of, okay, this course has to keep galloping. How do I do that? So if it gets a bit freaky, and if he's saying, if he spends 3 years, channeling dead comedians, then that's what he has to do to get through those 3 years. Do you know what I mean? It's just that, how do you keep yourself excited by it? And it might sound really weird to other people,
Well,
but that's the truth of it. Is it's
something
it's an
that
irrational
I used
platform.
to say in a, as an observation, just kind of general truth, but that I say all the time. I didn't really truly understand the severity of it until COVID, but I would always say like, oh, I love stand-up, and quite often I'll get this dumbass question when I'm doing stuff like, if you could do only one, or what do you like more, acting or writing or stand-up, or and I've always said stand-up is you can't like I can write in my head, I can act when I'm going down the street or whatever, but you can't replicate stand-up in that way at all. You can't do it over Zoom. You can't. You have to, and it's the thing that the only thing that I feel, I love doing all that stuff, but it's the only thing I feel in need, a compulsion to do is stand up. And sometimes reluctantly, like, fuck, I gotta do a set tonight. But I still love that thing. And then when, I didn't do a set for 1 year and 7 months, which is the longest I've ever gone, since I started when I was 17, and it was really depressing and hard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was in Toronto for 6 months, and they were completely locked down. And I was here when COVID started. It was really bad in New York City, and then went to Toronto where they locked down, and as New York was opening up, and just my timing was terrible. And I didn't do a set for 1 year and 7 months.
And did you notice? Were you reluctant to summon up that energy again?
No, I mean that was part of what I wanted to talk about. I remember the first set I did back was at a place here in Bushwick in Brooklyn called the Sultan Room, great room, and I nearly started tearing up.
Wow!
And I was telling. And, they don't know that you could say the thing, you can say that to them, but you don't really, really know. But I was starting to get pretty emotional and had to,
on stage.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it was a big deal because there's a point where you're like, am I ever going to get to do this again? Yeah. We all talk about and think about and reflect upon COVID and lockdowns and stuff, and like, that was tough. The thing that has to be remembered when you're describing anything like that is during that time, nobody knew if there was going to be an end to this. And to have a year of this and fucking Trump, with his, and then all the anti-mask, anti-vax fervor, and all the just craziness and stuff, people, things being locked down. You're like, you don't know. Part of what we talk about when we talk about those tough times is the awful pessimism and anxiety and the sometimes resignation of just like, oh, this is what may happen, especially if people aren't getting vaccinated, and it's never going to go away, and this could be a thing that happens, every 18 months. We have to do this, and then and there wasn't a cure, there wasn't a vaccine yet in the beginning, and scores of people were dying, especially here in New York City. They're fucking body bags, and they had freezer trucks, and you just, it's unsettling. You don't know what the future holds, and you read about a war that lasted for a generation, right? And there are people growing up, and it's awful, and it's constantly awful and life threatening and scary, and every day you don't know if or when there's going to be an end to it. And so that was part of the emotion I felt when I was on stage. Like there were months and months and months and months and months where I didn't know if I'd ever get to do this again.
Wow. See, I had a very different feeling.
You're like, yay!
I was so relieved.
Thank you, COVID.
So about the same, maybe 17 months or 2 years or whatever. And I had to stop halfway through an English tour. So there was about 25 dates left that we didn't get to do. We all went back home to Ireland. And I just felt that it was a side of my personality that I was kind of afraid of because it's slightly chaotic. Like off stage, I'm quite a thoughtful, I can talk a lot sometimes, but I'm lo-fi.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just glad not to have that energy in my body and in my brain. And I started to think
on stage stand up. Yeah.
So the restrictions started to be lifted, and my manager phones me up and says, "Okay, we got to finish this English tour." And I says, "No, you don't understand. I'm done. I am Tiny Tears is not going back on stage. That I'm not summing up that personality again. I'm done with stand-up. Retired. I'm going to work as an actor where I'm in total control and other people have to take responsibility for what I say." So my manager says, "Okay, you want me to cancel the rest of the English tour?" And I said, "Yeah." And then she says, "Well, it's going to cost a lot of money because the tickets have been sold and there's some kind of insurance." Anyway, and I says, "I don't care how much it costs. I don't care. I'm gone." And she says, "I'll come back to you later on with the figure for how much it costs." Now, for people to know that the amount that Irish stand-ups earn, I'd be a successful one. It's not the same as successful American stand-ups.
Right.
It's on a whole other level because there's only 4 million people in the entire country. So you're not talking multiples of millions. You're talking about tens of thousands rather than that, So my manager comes back to me and she says, "Okay, I got the figures. It's going to cost you £44,000 to cancel the rest of the tour."
Wait, I don't understand because there wasn't in advance, was there?
I have no idea where that number came from. I didn't ask for the specifics. So
Right.
She's a truth teller.
Yeah.
So I said 44,000. I said, "That's not a problem. That's not
really.
That's what I said."
You were going to pay $44,000 to not.
I was
work.
As I was speaking to her, I was sure that was what I was going to do. And I hung up the phone, and I said, "Fuck." And then I phoned her and I says, "Okay, I'll finish the tour, but then that's it." And it was in getting back on stage after I retired.
Well, it was only 20 sets, right?
Only 20?
Is that what you said? There are 20 left?
24, 25,
24,
yeah. But I had to get ready for it. I had to kind of build up momentum.
Right, sure.
So,
and it had been a long time.
And I just found that, okay, I said, "Okay, now I remember." When the adrenaline and the love and the electricity and the lights and the drama of the moment all happened again, and I felt it in every fiber, I went, "Oh, okay. Oh, I get it now."
Yeah, there's nothing like, especially because it's at this point, it's your fans and they're people that are familiar with you and want to see you and have paid and come out, gotten a babysitter, and that there's an obligation.
But also there was a nature to the audiences back then. I don't know if you remember when the audiences came back after lockdown, they were charged.
Oh, it was crazy.
They were
hyped. So excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a very positive thing. And, it was everyone, it was understood, unspoken in the room. We're all there to, have this thing. Cause in the inverse situation, these folks were going like, I don't know if I'll ever see a stand-up show again.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and, or any show for that matter. And so, those, first couple shows back were really special.
But we still,
for everybody.
So there's the realization of the supercharge that goes through your body. Okay. And that glee and delight. But we still haven't figured out how to deal with the consequences of summoning the Joker. Do you know what I mean? I'm
you
so
mean the bomber?
The bomber. I'm so happy to be on stage, and I love it. But there is a strange psychic. I'm telling the truth. I'm not trying to over dramatize it, or I'm not trying to say, I'm not presenting stand up as a heroic thing, or you know, sometimes you see in these documentaries about stand-up, you'd swear, you know, you'd swear it was a heroic enterprise. For people who can do it, I don't think it's heroic. It might, for people who can't, it might seem like that.
Well, it's not heroic anymore. It was at a certain point in time culturally. I think, you know, you look at Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor, George Carlin. You know, it was heroic what they were doing. But nowadays, it's not. Like, I mean, there's so this shit about, you know, guys on their fucking third Netflix special getting millions of dollars, you know, bitching about how they're going to get canceled. It's just the most ignorant, stupid shit, you know? I like really funny people, but like, shut the fuck up. You're not a victim.
You're whining.
You're whining. You're whining about also a thing that isn't true because you're whining about it. I'm watching you whine about it from the comfort of my couch and, you know, paying for the privilege. Shut the fuck up. God, those fucking guys.
Yeah, it's definitely raining on me here now. It's nice.
Okay.
No, stay where we are. No, it's it reminds me of home.
Is it?
We can move your chair.
Oh yeah, I
a
see.
bit,
It's a
Tommy.
condensation.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's okay. But anyway, yeah, there's a good idea.
What do you have a hat for? If not to protect you
tell
from
me about
the
your
air
beard.
conditioner. My beard?
Yeah, and eating with the beard and all that, because that's one of my big problems is trying to eat in public with a beard.
Boy, I haven't had that issue.
Really?
I mean, I clean up after myself.
Do
I don't.
you trim it every week?
No.
Monthly?
I just got it trimmed because I had to go to LA yesterday or 2 days ago. Just came back last night, but to do this premiere. So I kind of cleaned up, and I will let it go until kind of the next thing. So
Are you kissing somebody at the moment?
not currently. I'm talking to you. I'm not sure what you're seeing, but I'm
In your mind.
but I'm not. Is this microphone in the way, or
In your life, are you
yes, I'm married.
You've intimacy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
does the person you're kissing ever go, Dave, please?
No, not really.
Really?
Yeah,
All right.
no, no,
And what do you trim it yourself?
no. I go. It's so cheap. I just go down the street. There's a ton of barbers in my neighborhood.
What do you ask for?
I just say, well, they all know. They pretty much know. And I go to this one place, and I think I've been to every person there like multiple 4, 5, 6 times. But it's in the summer, skin, just shave the head.
Oh, the head, yeah.
I don't need a razor, just the electric thing.
Yeah.
So shave that down, or if it's colder, I go 0.8.
Okay.
So which is it's the next thing that's not skin, and then blend, neaten it up, and all natural, no lines, and that is that.
Wow. Blend, all natural, no lines.
Yeah,
I like it.
because I'm bald.
Yeah.
So you gotta skillfully blend this, and
Does it flake on you?
What do you mean?
Like dandruffy things?
No.
Wow.
No.
I've problems with all those things. Problems kissing, problems eating, and problems flaking.
Well, so when you say
Mine
eating,
gets big as well. It's,
yeah. Well, this will get really big.
Yeah.
But I'll take care of it before I go out on the road. Hey, this is a great time to remind everybody, Tommy Tiernan, that I'll be starting my tour, the end of the beginning of the end, in mid-ish September, something like that. I think where's the first?
How are you fixed
Show.
for it? How's the show?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm
Oh, yeah.
ready.
I heard
yeah.
I was talking to somebody earlier on, and they said you were in great form.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good. That's good to
They
know.
said you're yeah.
The
They said-
stand-up meaning?
I was talking to a stand-up, and they said, "Oh, I went to see David Cross. He's in great form at the
Oh,
moment."
good. I really got lucky, as any comic would, where this kind of crazy thing happened maybe 6 months ago, and so that is my my opening big bit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it's really fun to do. It's still relatively fresh, and it's all true. I rarely exaggerate even on stage. I'm in a pretty tell the truth, but and it gives me like an opening 10 minutes because it's this longer story that's just so great to have.
Without getting into it, was it a trauma?
No, okay. It was comically awkward. But it's all about all the stuff that surrounds the thing that happened and what was going through my mind, and it's really fun to do. And it's just a fucking gift, that this thing happened. And I also said, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not going to tell my friends or my wife or anything. The first time I want to talk about it, I wanted to be on stage, which I did.
Yeah, there you go.
And told them that, like, this crazy thing happened. And it's not that crazy. It's just a thing to talk about, and you get to diverge into different kind of ideas, but it's like a good 10 minutes long, and it just sets up. And were
you in the, again, I don't want to know the thing, but in the moment, were you embarrassed?
Yes. Yes, I was. Emma, do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen the set? No, all right. But
very embarrassed.
It was more awkward than embarrassed. But I found myself in a like, oh dear, oh no, and it continues the thing. So but again, it's like this. It's like fairly recently, so it's lovely, it's a fun thing to do. It is real. It is, and it's still kind of fresh, and it's fun to tell the story.
That's great.
And it goes over really well, and it just sets us up for fun. I will say this show, at least in the beginning, it'll evolve eventually. I mean, when I go out, I do like 60, 70, 80 dates.
Wow.
Well, here's the thing.
Consecutively or like weekends or?
No. So after the last tour, I have a 7.5-year-old daughter, so things have changed. Also, I'm not, I used to sell out theaters.
Yeah.
And I don't do that anymore. I have scaled it down a little bit, and it's just different out there, and so that dictates how I travel and have to amortize things to make sure I'm not losing money, and now that because last year was so difficult because I would do like 4 days and come back to be with the kid and my wife and help out, and when she was going to school and stuff, and it was really, really grueling and hard.
Totally, especially, you're tired all the time.
And you're also like, the routing wasn't, it would be fine if I was on a tour bus, but like, I have to get up at 7 a.m. so I can get to Spokane Airport to make a connecting flight to Minnesota so that I can go to Madison, Wisconsin. I mean, the routing and it was fucking grueling, and it was hard. And my wife said, you don't have to do that again. If you we're at the point now, and my daughter's fine, she'll be, getting close to 8 by the time I go back out. And my wife's like, yeah, you don't have to do that. If you go out for 2-3 weeks, come back for some time, go out again. So that's what I'm doing. I go out, and it's it's routed with, it was so crazy. I mean, something I'd never done before, I ended up doing a lot, which is flying into a place, getting a room, a hotel at the airport. Hotel room.
Yeah.
Then, because there's not a direct flight from wherever I was coming in, and then driving, so flying to Albuquerque, New Mexico, then getting a room at the hotel. I mean, I'm sorry, a room at the airport, then getting a rental car, driving to Santa Fe, doing the show, driving back, after the show. So you're not getting in till, midnight, 1 a.m. Go to sleep, walk to the airport, and go back. It was like a lot of that shit. And it's a bummer, especially, I'm doing an hour and a half on stage, and I'm drinking after the show with people. And, unless it was really tough. So it's not going to be that grueling this time. And that allows me to do more dates, kind of put together, and it allows me to go home for like a larger chunk of time.
Are you looking forward to it?
Very much. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And do you know Sean Patton, the comedian?
No, Patton Oswalt.
His last name is the first name of Patton Oswalt. That's all they share in common.
That's not the same guy?
No, it's not. Sean Patton Oswalt. But anyway, Sean. I see. Sean opens up, and he's a great comic and a great hang, and so it really makes it fun. I've got the same tour manager I've been using for several tours, and he's great, and that element makes it fun, and I fucking love doing it. I love going out. I love going to the people. I love going to Asheville, North Carolina, and Missoula, Montana, and Madison, Wisconsin, and San Diego. I love going to those places, doing my set, and I know everybody says this, but my fans are fucking awesome. They're so smart, hardcore, fun, and we have fun. It's a fun night, and you can with all the shit that's going on, you can just come down and have, you've got 90 minutes to 2 hours of not thinking about shit, not worrying about stuff, and laughing. So
it's a great thing to have in your life. Like, it's brilliant,
And I love traveling, and I'll do a run through Canada, and then I'll do Europe, which in Europe you don't make nearly as much money. I mean, I will walk away with money, but not a lot.
But it's fascinating, isn't it?
But I love it. I love, and there are certain places I really look forward to performing. I mean, there's a handful that I just, even though I'm in much smaller, usually like music venues, and like, you ever do the Oran Moor in Glasgow?
No.
It's great. It's like this music club, and it's like hot and sweaty. And it's really fun. And there's a place in Baltimore I do a lot of shows called the Auto Bar. Super packed, standing. I'm on, it's how I used to do it. I would have a band open up for me, and I did music venues. And then just went until I had to pee, and then the show was over. But I would go for hours and just drinking, and it was really fun. But I was younger, and I don't have that kind of energy, or I just do a show. But I do enjoy it a lot. And again, that's my fans, for the most part, are pretty awesome.
Yeah, wow.
Now, Tommy, I like to end every show by asking my guest a question.
Oh, yeah.
From my daughter.
Ooh.
It's true. Don't. All right. Sorry, my phone tends to be sarcastic sometimes. Okay, so this is
a question specific to me from your daughter, or just
a question knowing she'll say, I have a question for your podcast, knowing that I present these questions to the guest. Okay. Okay, let's see. Which can I give you? I should have. Oh, I love this one.
Okay.
This is a good one. Tiny Tears, Tommy Tiernan. This is from Marlo, 7 years
Marlo.
old. Marlo.
Lovely name. Yeah. Marlo Cross.
Marlo Cross. Yeah.
I guess.
Tommy, my daughter asks, when you're sad, why do you look down?
Oh. Trying to hide my face, I guess.
Is that it? Well,
I think so, isn't it?
You want to hide your face?
I think so.
Because
I don't want all the happy people to see me.
you don't. Okay, this actually, this question came up when she was very sad. I can't remember what she was sad about. This is fairly recently, and she was upset, and I don't know if it was a behavioral thing or like something she learned or something, but she was very sad and there was some crying, but not like tantrum type crying. It was sad crying. And then she, when she was kind of coming out of that, she said, when you're sad, how come you look down?
Yeah, it's a phenomenal question.
And your answer is you're trying to hide your face.
Yeah. So
maybe it's about, and I don't like to jump in on these questions, but I'm going to say maybe it's about yourself having a private in the moment as much as you can create a private moment for yourself, and by doing that, by looking down and looking at your lap, or you're tuning out and the visual stimulation.
Did you ever have the thing of when you're in your late teens and early 20s of crying and then having to, while you're crying, just to have a look in the mirror to see what you look like while you were crying?
Yeah, I've done that with not just crying, and then I'm like, is that what my smile looks like? That's not even a smile. I think I'm smiling because I've since I was young, I got a lot of like, you're unapproachable and you always look whatever, and you've got you look like you're judging me or whatever. And in my head, I'm like, no, I'm not. I thought I was smiling. Was I not smiling? And that sometimes I would smile and I go, oh, I gotta get to the bathroom mirror and take a look at it and see. Oh yeah, that's not a smile at all. That looks like a frown to me. But inside, I think.
And it's funny as well the way when people, when they're crying, their hands also, their face goes down to hide in their chest, and their hands come up.
Yeah, I think it's less about hiding and more about it's hiding, but like I'm creating a private moment for myself.
But if you're an actor and you start crying, you want everyone to see it. If you can manage to squeeze a tear when you're acting, you're looking.
When you're acting, sure.
Yeah. It's the opposite.
Thing to do, summon the tears.
For sure. I had just an interesting thing about kids' questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got 6 children.
Oh, Jesus.
And a granddaughter.
Oh, you better finish up those dates.
So, and they all flower in their own directions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one is a carpenter, one is a basketball coach, one is a philosopher, one is a photographer, one is all these. They all kind of gallop in their own on their own road. When one of them was 6, we were coming back from driving home, and he said to me, everything is either nature or imagination. I went, what? He says, yeah. He says, right now, we're in somebody's imagination. I said, what are you talking about? He says, well, a tree is nature, but a car is imagination. So right now, we're in somebody else's imagination.
You mean somebody designed it, somebody created it. Yeah.
Somebody had to think of it,
Yeah.
And I thought this was the most profound thing that a child had ever said, ever. And I was
well, yeah, because it's your kid.
Stunned by the insight.
I can tell you it's not, yeah.
Is it, what?
What?
It's not that good?
What? What's that?
Is it not that good?
What?
Hey.
I can't.
Dave?
No.
Hello.
I seem to have lost the connection there.
You're cracking up. Really?
Tom, do you have anything you want to plug? I don't know when this will come out. Is this...
So the Bomber will be on the road October through November in Canada and America.
Really? Can you name some places?
So starting off, I think in Toronto, and then going to
love Toronto,
Philadelphia, New York,
Philadelphia,
Chicago. Yeah,
I don't know where that is.
No,
where are you playing in Toronto?
I don't know.
Do you know? Toronto's great.
Yeah.
Really good shows there.
And
Where are you going to be in New York?
The Town Hall.
Yep. Okay.
And then the West Coast, Portland, Seattle,
Oh, yeah.
Vancouver, New
Beautiful.
York, or LA and San Francisco. So
That's going to be great.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't, America has such a bad reputation on television.
For
When we see America on TV, it's always disastrous.
yeah, when I see America on TV, it's certainly the reality show. There are terrible people.
Or
here,
just the
but
news and everything's division
yeah.
and everything is
It's
bad.
particularly bad now. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you're here, physically, it's lovely.
Yeah. Well, all those
And I love
places you
American
mentioned
people.
are great, especially the Canadian cities too. Yeah, that's all. I mean, Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, LA, New York. You doing Boston?
Yes,
Yeah.
the Wilbur.
Oh, the Wilbur's great.
Mm.
Tell those guys I said hi. They're great. There's like a family. The
Yeah, yeah.
Rich. Yeah, the Wilbur's great, and yeah, we'll enjoy, man.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And good luck with the road. And I was delighted to hear today that you're flying, that you're in good form.
Oh,
So
good.
delighted to hear
I'm
that.
glad to hear that too,
You know,
because
so-
you never know.
Yeah.
You're about to embark on this tour, and you're like, is this going to be good? I actually just did some warm up stuff. 2 nights in Milwaukee. I was supposed to do 2 nights in Omaha, but my wife had to go to the hospital, emergency appendectomy, and I had to fly home and cancel the show, and do help out with that. But after those shows, I was like, oh, okay, I got it.
Mm.
Because I've never been ever this close to going out on tour and not having the sequencing down,
Mm.
which is I wouldn't say hard, but it takes work. And I just never, this is the latest I ever got into it, where it was like, I don't know how to fucking sequence this set. And then I finally figured it out, and I ran through it, and those Milwaukee and Omaha, and I was like, okay, I'm good to go.
Mm.
But that's pretty late before usually I've got it down at least 2 months prior.
And you compare that to Billy, no sequencing, no decisions.
No, wait a minute.
No,
Now wait a minute.
just a minute.
I would argue, and I don't know Billy Connolly personally, that you can say, oh yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do, I'm winging it, but you as a professional, you know you have these options.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't fully believe I'm just winging it.
No, it's not a completely improvised show every night.
Yeah.
But what it is, it's a non-sequenced show. So he
Right.
goes on, he says, hello, how are you? And in the process of saying hello, he'll think of a story that could be a year old,
Mm-hmm.
could be from a show 20 years ago,
Yeah.
could be from last week,
Well, I appreciate
And
that,
that's
but he's pulling from these.
from the canon.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Anyway, it was a pleasure talking to you, Dave.
Yes,
Thank you
you too. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
That was a Headgum podcast.